Woo! What's up, YouTube family? I am back again this week. It is your boy Future P. Thank you so much for joining in on this marvelous week. I hope y'all ready. Hope y'all ready. We're gonna go ahead and get started pretty soon. Let me go ahead and go play here. We're about to go live on Facebook as well. What's up? It's your boy Future P. We back another week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy and grateful now that listen, man, this past week, man, has been crazy, along with this past series as well. So I'm thankful for all of you who have been tuning in, for all of you that have been watching all of the series from Fruits of the Spirit, and even all the way back to way back. So shout out to all of you. Listen, you see the title, right? You see the description. It's a new series. It is called Do Me a Favor. Do Me a Favor. This series, I'm going to talk about the three types of favor that God has literally shown throughout the work that He's done way before time. Now, again, if you're watching this video, share this video. You might want to get this video out there. You do not want to miss this video. You do not want to miss this teaching. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm just letting y'all know right now. Like, you do not want to miss this. You don't want to miss it. Just being real, you don't want to miss it. So, without further ado, I want to go ahead and pray, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna try not to be here before you all very long, because I want everyone to, get a grasp of this information. But again, you're watching this video, share this video, send it in the DMs, do whatever you got to do, because I'm telling you again, trust me, you do not want to miss this. This series is going to unlock something in your life. It's going to give you a different perspective. It's going to give you a fresh perspective. I'm just being 100 with y'all. So if you want to understand how God moves in your life, if you want to understand how to do things, where to go about life, this is the time to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop the link inside of the chat because we're streaming live on YouTube as well. So that way you all can tune in. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this link in the chat real quick so you all can get opportunity to see what it is that we are doing, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and check the comment section. Hopefully it appear, man, because Facebook be trying to shadow ban me, and I don't understand why Facebook be doing the things that they're doing. And for some reason, like my comment that I posted, it's not even showing up on my Facebook, which is so weird. It's not even showing up, and I don't understand why it's not showing up at all, which is so freaking weird. It's not even showing up on my end, so I can't even really see anything right now. I can't even see the comments. I can't see anything right now, which is so crazy. But it's all good. Let me use that share broadcast. Yeah, it's it's so weird, y'all. I apologize for that. Yeah, it's not doing what it should be doing. But without further ado, man, look, I'm gonna go ahead and get started um, right now. So, Heavenly Father, thank you right now for this time. I pray that you bless each and every one that is watching this video. Lord, this is going to be a very great series. Continue, Lord, to uplift me, give me the strength, give me the wisdom, give me the knowledge. Be the spirit of the living God that you are. Lord, you know I'm nothing but a vessel in this time. I pray that you continue to showcase your love for me as I showcase my love for your people. Let it be done so. In Jesus' name, amen. So, you're watching the video, share this video. I'm just you don't want to miss it. So, here's what I'm going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the favor of David. The favor of David. Now, the favor of David, just want to give you all a heads up. David, the word favor appears in the Bible over 145 times. It appears over 145 times. So I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute. There's something very deep and very distinguished about favor. And if you understand favor and how it works, and I think too, a lot of people don't understand how favor works. It just shifts the momentum in your whole perspective of yourself, how you love yourself, how you look at yourself, and how life for you will change once you know exactly what's going on. Now, everyone has their own personal belief. And if you see here, yeah, I can finally see the comment right here on you. Oh, I can finally see my comment. Let me see if I can pin it. There we go. Boom. All right. So I pinned my YouTube link inside the comment section. So again, let's finish talking about favor. So favor, it is super detrimental to your life. If you understand how favor works, God can shift things for you in a way that you've never seen it before. And I'm saying this from a perspective of studying because I'm looking at it. And that's one of the things I do when it comes to the word. I like to study it and I like to decipher it. I like to break it down so it can make sense to me, so I can make it make sense to you all. Because at the end of the day, it's one thing for somebody to tell you something, but it's another thing for somebody to give you game and wisdom on it so you know how to move once you get it. I think a lot of times when it comes to being a believer, when it comes to sharing the word of God or even the gospel, you have to understand that when you know how the wisdom of God works, when you know how favor works, it can change the way life hits you. Also, it can move your life into a different level. And I keep saying it because that's exactly what's going to happen to you once you understand it. A lot of you right now feel very, very stagnant. A lot of you right now feel like, yo, I should be further along in life than where I am right now. A lot of you also probably feel that I know God has something bigger and better for me right now in this season, but unfortunately, I'm not moving. I'm staying stuck. I'm staying stagnant. And you tried it on your own for so long. And if you're thinking that you can continue to do it on your own, by any means, go ahead and do that. But on the flip side, here's one thing I want you to also understand. If it was easy enough for us to do it alone, there wouldn't be any poverty. There wouldn't be any people sleeping out on the streets. A lot of us wouldn't even have death in the family. All diseases would be cured. There wouldn't be any struggle. There wouldn't be any type of lack of anything. If you experience any of those things in your life, you need to understand that you need to figure out a way to connect to those things and look at the favor that you have. Because a lot of you right now, you have favor that's on your life that's so unwritten, not because it's not destined for you, but because you never just claimed it. You never claimed the favor that God really placed on your life. You never really claimed how things were supposed to be in your life. You can have the type of car you want, for sure. You can have the type of house. You can have the amount of land. You can have the real estate. You can have the portfolio, the stock portfolio, the crypto portfolio. You can have the trading portfolio. You can have anything that you want. You can have anything that you want. My question to you is do you believe it long enough so that when it happens, you won't question God, you won't question anything concerning you? That's my biggest thing when it comes to understanding favor and looking at how favor goes and how favor works. Right? So, here's what I want to talk to y'all about. So, let's talk about the definition, like the meaning of favor from a biblical perspective, and then we're going to talk about it from the actual definition of the word of favor. So, from a biblical perspective, it means favor means now it appears over 145 times in the Bible. Over 145 times. Get this. It means God is stepping into one situation to make a worthwhile difference. That's the biblically sound definition of it. God is stepping into your situation to make a worthwhile difference. You mean to tell me God ain't never stepped in a situation in your life? Have you ever said, Lord, thank you for telling me no? Because if I would have said yes, this probably would have happened. That's favor. Lord, thank you for making me late. Thank you for making me leave my phone, my purse, my keys, my money, my everything at the house. So I had to turn around and go get it because when I got in the car and drove that same direction, that same path, there was a car wreck right there. Favor. Lord, thank you for letting me drive in the drive-through and someone paid for my food in front of me and that person did not even know me. Favor. Lord, thank you for giving me the ability to be the first one in my family to not only go to college, but to also graduate college. Favor. Thank you for making me the first multimillionaire in my family, or millionaire, or six-figure earner. Favor. These things happens on the regular to a lot of people. But for if anyone ever say, well, this happens to everybody else, but when is it ever going to happen to me? This is the video for you right now. But you got to understand what favor is. So favor is one, when God's stepping into someone's situation, your situation, and making a worthwhile difference. Are you willing to drop down your guard and let God take full control of your life and don't question anything? Because a lot of us don't understand this. Here we go. A coincidence is not a coincidence. A coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous in your life. I need some water. Okay. I know I always say water break, but a coincidence, is God's way of staying anonymous in your life. It's God's way of staying anonymous in your life, right? Now, here's why I say that. It's because when you look up the actual definition versus the meaning of the word favor, here's what it says, y'all. Crazy thing. Here's what it says. It says approval. Number one, a lot of you right now, because you are looking for someone to accept you, you're not looking at it in a different perspective of favor. When someone has favor over you, they approve of you without you even asking. That's the difference. Stop trying to seek approval from someone or something and not understanding that real favor comes from when you don't even have to ask for approval. The next word is support. Support, or the liking for someone, as some people call it, your favorite person or favoritism, right? That's derived from the word favor. So approval, support, liking for someone. Someone takes a liking upon you and you don't even understand why. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody just looks out for you and you didn't even know? Sometimes, and a lot of people really, really grasped this during the pandemic. A lot of people knew this because the pandemic opened up a realm for different mindsets. It's called, well, I think it's called, it created a movement called the Great Resignation. Till this day, last time I checked, I haven't checked recently, but as of recently, I can say till this day, as of recently, over 2.5 million jobs are abandoned. In Texas, there are over 800 vacancies for teachers in schools. Over 800 vacancies. That's mean over 800 jobs in Texas. And I'm to be honest with you, I think that's just that's just in Houston. That's not including Dallas, Austin, Lubbock, Fort Worth, El Paso, San Antonio, all of the big cities. That's not including that. That's just in Houston alone. It's over 800 plus vacancies of jobs that there aren't nobody's taking them. They're empty. They're vacant. They're vacancies right now. And so, in other words, there's a shortage of teachers right now in the school system. In the school system. So you got to understand what favor looks like. Okay, it's really about approval from a natural perspective versus a supernatural perspective. A supernatural perspective remembers when God's stepping into the situation and making a worthwhile difference. Versus a natural perspective, what we do is support, approval, and the liking of someone else. Now, what I want to do is next, I want to talk about the three types of favor. Okay, I researched this and I found this from a ministry that's on Facebook. I do apologize when I do find the name. I will shout you guys out. But get this. I'm gonna start this from 2 Samuel chapter 2, verses 6. It says, "May the Lord show you kindness and faithfulness." Remember, kindness and faithfulness is a fruit of the Spirit. "And I too will show you the same favor because you have done this." So, what if I told you right now, favor starts by you showing a fruit, at least two fruits of the Spirit, but showing the fruits of the Spirit in you. Now, if you don't understand what the fruits of the Spirit are, go back on my YouTube channel, go back on my Facebook videos. It's in there. You can click on the drop down for photos and go to videos, and the videos are there. It's 9 clips that breaks down each one of the fruits of the Spirit from Galatians 5:22. So it's super important that you understand that. But if you show kindness and faithfulness, I too will show you the same favor because you have done this. So let me help you guys understand something. There's no way that you can do something for God and God will not reward you. No way. This proves it. Because you've shown kindness and faithfulness, I too will show you the same favor because you have done this. Now, let me pause for a second. A lot of us right now, excuse me, a lot of us right now, we get so caught up in the fact that we don't have right now favor because we want it right now. We don't want to wait. We don't want to do anything else. We want it right now. And the reason why we want it right now is because we think that is a natural thing. Remember, we think favor is approval. How come no one is approving of me? And let me go back, and I took a little quick detour, but the reason here's what we found out according to, not say according, with the pandemic. A lot of you found out that you didn't have as much favor with your family as you thought that you did, right? They didn't support you in your business ideas and business adventures because a lot of you did take stimulus checks, you took loans or whatever you did, and you tried to start a business, and your family didn't support you, and your business is basically flopped. A lot of you right now, you tried a lot of different things during the pandemic. You tried to trade, you tried to create an online store and sell products. A lot of you tried to create t-shirt companies. A lot of you got into the e-commerce space and still doing well. Shout out to all of you that's doing that. A lot of you that did make a lot of money trading as well, trading forex, trading crypto, trading learning about DeFi. A lot of people were selling and creating NFTs as well. Shout out to my team and everybody that's doing that because that never stopped. That's still actually going on. But because the world opened up and everybody's not really quarantined anymore, a lot of people don't hear about it as much. But trust me, it is still going on. The reason why is because of favor. But again, a lot of you didn't continue because you didn't get the support that you felt like you needed from your family because you felt like, hey, they should have given me approval. I should have got approval from my family like how I thought I should have had. Number two, I felt like my family should have favored me. They should have given me support because I've shown kindness and faithfulness no matter what they did. But for some reason, they didn't show me the same favor back. Yeah, they didn't show the same favor back at all. So it falls onto the fact of, well, maybe they just don't like me because you're thinking that, okay, the only reason why they support me is because I'm not doing what they're doing. I'm not doing what they want me to do. So now they don't want to support me like how I supported them no matter what happened. For some reason, when they had kids at an early age, nobody said anything. But when you had kids at an early age, now everybody got something to say. Okay. When you dated a certain person, nobody said anything. But now, when you date a certain person, everybody in your business. Right? That's the way it go. It's called understanding favor. Now, there are three types of favor. Check this out. It's three types. Okay, here's the first one. The first type of favor. Now, all of these words are Greek slash Hebrew, Hebrew slash Greek. So you can look these words up. But I'm gonna give you the words. Excuse me if I don't pronounce it correctly, but I'm gonna give you the wording. And then not only will I give you the wording, I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna tell you what each one of them mean. Okay. So there are three types of favors. Okay. We have the Ratson, which is Ratson favor. We have the Eudokia favor, and then we have the Yetsha favor. Okay, now we have Ratson favor, we have the Eudokia favor, and then we have the Yetsha favor. The Ratson favor means overtaken or territorial favor. Overtaken a territorial favor. We're going to talk about that. Because remember, this is part one to the series, and then Eudokia is fruitfulness, and then Yatsha is connections with favor. So we got overtaken and territorial favor given from God. Then we got the fruitfulness favor given from God, and then we got the connection favor that's given from God. But tonight, part one, we're going to talk about the favor of David. All right, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down the timeline of David's life. And I'm telling y'all, when I did this, it blew my top. You understand me? I never in life will look at David the same. I will never look at favor the same. I'm telling y'all, this changed my life. If I get emotional, forgive me. But I'm telling you right now, one of my biggest affirmations is two things. Here's my biggest affirmation. My biggest affirmation is wisdom from God and favor from God. You can keep the money. Here's the reason why I say you can keep the money, because the money is going to hit you no matter what you do. It's going to hit you in a way that's impossible, because favor can get you in doors that money cannot get you in. I spoke on this, the fruits of the spirit. I think it was video number 7. But there is I ain't gonna say it's a secret group. It's a group that you may call it secret because you don't know anything about money, really, or finances, or the way people move. It's not a secret. It's just you haven't researched it deep enough. But there's a group called I think it's R35. You can look this up. Richard Branson is a part of it. You know who Richard Branson is? He's the owner of Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines, etc. He owns a lot of real estate. He owns, I think, a couple private equity firms, etc. But this group is for the top performers and elite individuals of the world, which means these individuals are wealthy. This is the way this group works. You have to have favor to get in this group. Number one, you have to pay. I think it's anywhere from 100,000. No, I'm sorry. It's $30,000 a month to be in this particular group. The next thing is you got to go through an interview process, and you have to get invited in. Well, they're not really invited in. They have to accept you in the group. Here's the thing. They've denied billionaires and multi-billionaires because they said this. Get this. They said that the reason why we don't want anybody or everybody in this group because we don't want people to over abuse their resources and their connections to try to leverage to make more money. That's crazy because this group right here, they focus on wealth and health and wellness. They will write a whole documentary about you. They're going to write a documentary about you and your family and your kids. They're also going to connect you to the number one health advisors and scientists that are connected to all of the major universities when it comes to medicine, etc. So you never have to worry about your health ever again, low key. Then they're going to do this. They're going to also connect you with some of the top financial advisors in the world, all the way from Wall Street to Goldman Sachs, etc. So you would never have to worry about not having that opportunity to make more money when you are a part of this group. I don't want to give too much information because that's a goal of mine, but it's called R35 Lookup. But I'm saying this because it's about favor. It's not about the money. If they're denying billionaires and letting six-figure earners and millionaires get into this group, what does that tell you? It's about favor. So let's talk about the favor of David. We're going to break down literally the timeline of David's life. And I'm going to point to you and about how favor is very important in your life versus anything else. Okay. So let's talk about David, how David started out. Okay. Let's talk about David. So I'm going to start off here and then I'm going to explain a little bit later. So David's favor, he was picked out of all of his brothers. His father is Jesse. Jesse is from Bethlehem. So David has 7 other brothers. So he's the baby boy. Just so you know, he's the youngest of 8 boys. And I said to myself, dang, Jesse had all them kids? Jesse had 8 kids. He's the youngest of 8. Follow me on this. And I'm telling you, you don't have to be a Bible scholar. You do not have to be a preacher, a pastor. You do not have to be an apostle. You do not have to be a bishop, whatever. Well, whatever title you are, you just got to be hungry. You can Google this stuff. This stuff is available at your fingertips now. It's not hard no more. It's available at your fingertips. David's favor, he was picked out of all of his brothers to be anointed. Okay. Then after they anointed David as king, which I'm going to explain a little bit deeper. This is just the precept. They anointed him as king. They sent him back to the fields to be a sheep herd, he was a shepherd of the sheep, shepherd of the goats against all odds. David was the youngest boy, and he literally got sent back after he got anointed. After he got anointed by a prophet, his name is Samuel, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. And David's father said, all right, boy, you can go back to doing what you're doing. It's crazy to understand how favor works. The first thing I want to let you all know about favor. Favor doesn't make sense at first. I hope y'all taking notes. Favor never makes sense at first. It never makes sense. Imagine you being the youngest kid and all of a sudden a man with all power in his body, soul, and spirit, a prophet, somebody that has a lot of ranking in God, someone that has favor in God themselves, comes to you and anoints you and don't even tell you why you're being anointed. The next point is favor owes you no explanation. That's the next point. Favor owes you no explanation at all. when Samuel anointed David, which I'm going to talk about a little bit deeper, he never told David why he was anointing him. There is no reason that David never understood the assignment yet. He never understood why he was anointed king. He never understood that yet. No one told, Samuel never told David, hey, boy, come here. You're going to be the king. You're going to take over Saul's spot. Let me anoint you now. He never even told his dad why he was anointing David. He just said, hey, listen, God sent me to your house. How many children do you have? But Samuel, who was a known prophet, has so much respect and so much authority and so much favor. It was hard for Jesse to even question why Samuel was there. It's like this. Puts it like this. If Warren Buffett show up at your door and asking to see one of your kids, you ain't gonna question Warren Buffett. If LeBron James show up at your door trying to see about one of your sons hooping and he wants your son to play on his AAU team, you're never gonna question LeBron. If Oprah Winfrey walks up to your door, if Tyler Perry walks up to your door, if Robert Smith walks up to your door right now and say, hey, if Stephen King, rest his soul, Steven Spielberg, any major producer come up to you, Lee Daniels, whomever, I could just go on. It's a bunch of them, right? It's a bunch of them. If any of them come up to your door and say, hey, listen, how many kids do you have? We're looking for a child right now to star in this movie. You wouldn't question it. You would say, my kid's right here. Oh my God, come in. You wouldn't even ask anyone. You would invite them in. No matter if your house dirty or not, you go start cleaning up. You go get your spot ready for this individual. See, here's the thing. When God shows up at your door, he's going to show up through somebody else that is qualified to give you the next steps in your life. Favor. That's how favor works. Here's the next thing. The next point I want to give you. That's point number 3, point number 4. It's going to be a bunch of points in this. God also is never going to give you an explanation as to why he do what he do when it comes to favor in your life. Because favor works at its all-time highest when your faith is at its all-time highest. Being scared is different. I don't believe that you can't have faith and not also be scared. I solely believe you can do that. It's a difference between being scared and actually having fear. Every major artist, athlete, performer, etc., have always been scared or timid, have butterflies in their stomach before they did something. Some of you are right there, right like that right now, till this day, right? You get these jitters in your body because you don't know what's going to happen in your life once you go to a certain situation. Some of you right now, you are afraid of going to the next level as an entrepreneur because you are afraid what people are going to say because you're nervous, you're scared. You're probably scared of rejection, of people telling you no if you start a new business. That's the reason why you got so comfortable with your job. But at the same time, you want the favor of what it's like to be a 6, 7, and 8, 9 figure earner. It has to go together. You cannot be scared, but also want favor, but not apply your faith. Faith is not just by doing, which is very important. It's about the way that you think about what you're about to do or should be doing or going to do. That's free game for you all because a lot of people don't tell you that. Favor and faith has a lot to do with the way that you think. It's not just about what you do all the time. It's about what you are thinking when you are doing it. It's a difference between, have you ever had somebody give you a gift versus the person that gave you a gift and you know their heart was right? You know when somebody give you a gift and you can feel it. You know what? I don't know. I don't even know if I want to accept this because I feel like when you give me this gift, you're gonna try to throw it in my face later on down the line. Versus when someone just automatically give you something, you can feel when it's genuine. When that person's not asking you for anything in return, you know when it's genuine. You know when it's like right there for that person. So let's talk about this, right? Let's give the timeline. So we're gonna start off with Samuel. So Samuel was a prophet. Samuel started off. We're gonna start with Samuel, then we're gonna go to Saul, King Saul, then we're gonna go to David. Samuel, right, was a prophet. Samuel, at a young kid, his dad was Eli. Samuel was called as a kid, right? And Samuel heard his name called while he was asleep. He kept going back to his father, said, Father, you call my name? Here I am. He said, no, boy, I didn't call you. Go back to sleep. Samuel got called. Samuel heard his name again. Samuel. He woke up. Here I am. Eli was like, Sam, I didn't call. Why you keep saying that? Go back to bed. The third time, he said, he heard his name again. Samuel. He woke up again. He went to Eli like, Dad, like, you called me, here I am. And he said, wait a minute, son. Eli right there recognized that Samuel's name was getting called by God. Here's the thing for you as a father, no matter if you have a daughter or a son. Here's what I want to tell you. You have to be connected to God, because when you do, you can give guidance to your children when God is calling them. A lot of your children are being called at an early age, but they don't know what to do because you're not connected to God as a parent. When you're connected to God, you can unleash the favor over your child's life because God is speaking to them, but they need someone to help them interpret it because they don't know what it means. Some of you right now have a gift from God and you don't even exercise it, but you're probably thinking that you're crazy, or you're probably thinking it's something else, or you don't know what it is. I'm gonna prove it to you right now. If you ever just stare at people, some people say you're weird. No, there's some water on that. You probably label yourself as a people watcher. If you ever just stare at people and just look at them, or if you ever pass by somebody and you can just hear their thoughts, or you ever pass on somebody, you brush up on them by a touch and you can just see a part of their life just flash, that's a gift from God. But because you've been doing it all of your life, you've been seeing it, everybody just thought you're just such a smart kid. Not saying you weren't. Everybody thought that you're just so studious and just intelligent. Not saying you weren't. You were not. However, there's a gift inside of you that is literally in you that you probably don't know how to use yet. And so we get into our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, and our 50s, not realizing that that one gift is what's keeping you from moving to the next level. That's your favor. Your favor is attached to your gift that God has for you. If you operate in your gift, your God-given gift, then you will always have favor. Always. A lot of us are trying to get favor from doing stuff. No, when you stay in line with the gift that God gave you, then you're going to get favor. You're going to get favor. I'm a living testament. I'm telling you, I don't talk about all of the stuff that goes on in my life for a reason, because that's biblical. However, but when you operate in your God given gift, favor comes up on your life tremendously. So Eli told his son, he said, listen, next time you hear your name, just say this: speak, Lord, your servant is listening. Could you imagine if your mom and dad told you that at a young age? All of the things you saw as a kid that just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense whatsoever as a child. And for some reason, as an adult, you still don't understand why your life is going the way it is going. You still don't understand why you should be further along in life that you are right now. But for some reason, you're not, because you don't understand why you keep getting pulled to a certain part in your life and you don't know how to even get out. You don't even know what it means. You don't know the next steps. And because you don't know the next steps, you get fearful. You get fearful. You don't know what to do, how to do it, when to go, where to go. You get fearful in your life. So as a parent, even let's say this, even if you're an adult and you were that kid, it's time for you to say to God, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. I'm going to say it again. If you want to know how favor in your life can change, say this: speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. And you will be surprised on how God will answer you. You will be surprised on how God will move in your life. You'll be surprised. You will be 100% surprised on how God is going to favor you and connect you and move you to a different level. You're going to be surprised on that. You're going to be 100% surprised. Because in life, there will be a lot of things that's going to come to you. There will be a lot of changes that needs to happen. There will be a lot of conditions that's going to try to wrap themselves around you. But Samuel heard his name called 3 times as a kid. How many times have God called your name and you wanted to answer, but you just didn't know what it was? You probably said, "Dang, God, is that even you?" Oh, no, 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 that's me. That's just me, tripping right now. That's the reason why I'm not hearing what I'm hearing. Well, get this. It's because you don't understand. So here's the timeline right now, right? Here's the timeline. Samuel becomes an adult. Israel says to Samuel, prophet, we need a king. That's the first part. We need a king. Samuel goes, God sends him to Saul as a youngin, as a young man. God then tells Samuel, anoint Saul as king. Okay. Now, fast forward, Saul had a whole bunch of other things that he was supposed to do and be obedient about. Saul was the man. Saul was at the top of his game. Fast forward, here's the next part of the timeline. God rebukes Saul out of disobedience, and Saul gets angry. God rebukes Saul out of disobedience, and then Saul gets angry. And then after that, the Lord rejected Saul as a king. And then get this, he now instructs Samuel, the same guy that anointed him as king, to go ahead and anoint somebody else. Let me tell y'all something, okay? When you stay disobedient to God long enough, this proves that whatever God designed for you to do and for you to have, He's gonna give it to somebody else. It's proof right here. It's proof right here. People don't want to believe that, but it's proof right here. He anointed Saul as king because he knew in his heart of hearts that Saul would have taken on the responsibility to be obedient to what God told him to do. Because Saul got in his own way, he got disobedient. God rejected him and rebuked him, and then instructed the same person that gave him that anointed him, that favored him, to go ahead and find somebody else to do the job that God originally called Saul to do. So that's the reason why. Ooh, y'all ready? This gonna sting a little bit. If you can't say amen, say ouch. Here's where it's gonna hit you. That's the reason why when you out in public, you see somebody with the same life that you know that you're supposed to have, and you're not living it, they're living it because God called them instead of you. God literally said, in this season, because you were disobedient, I gotta find somebody else that want to do it because it's not about you. It's about the change. It's about what needs to happen in that season for God's people. Let me tell you something. Amazon could have came in 2022. Why did it come way back in the early 2000s and the 90s? Google could have started now. Why wait until Google come out now? You got to say everything is about timing. Everything is about God's timing. Nike could have waited. This is as many brands as it is right now. Why didn't Nike get released in 2022? See, people don't think about this stuff. Y'all need to start thinking deep about life. You can't think so surface level. You got to go deep with God. Ask yourself this question, right? How come COVID didn't come out years ago? Why did it come out now? You can say, oh, the government released it. Okay, cool, whatever you want to call it. But it's about timing. How come inflation wasn't big back in the 90s when gas was 98 cents a gallon? Why wasn't inflation high then? Why was the dollar worth more then than it is worth now? Why is silver and gold and crypto a big deal right now? Why wasn't that a big deal back then? Because Forex and all that been around for years. This ain't nothing new. We just didn't know about it because we ain't had the money. Trading all that been going on for years. It was a rich man's game. How come we didn't know about this information then? We could say, oh, because the internet wasn't available. Well, the internet is available and people still don't know stuff. So what's the excuse? There's no excuse. It's about timing. It's all about timing. We can say, well, we didn't have the resources, we didn't have the technology. No, it's because that God didn't release these individuals on the earth with the idea to create it yet. It's about timing. It's all about timing. So you have to understand when God anoints you to do something, when God calls you to do something, be ready because it's about timing. So get this. He instructs Samuel to anoint another king. Then after that, Samuel was sad about it. Samuel didn't even want to do it. Samuel was mourning for Saul because Saul got rejected and rebuked it, and Samuel can do nothing about it. So, as a child, when your parent is trying to tell you something, and your parent take their hands off the wheel, if you are a spiritual daughter or son, and your spiritual parents give you something, give you a word, and you don't follow it, and they kind of put their hands up, it's because it's all on you now. They done all that they can do for you. It's nothing more that they can do. It's nothing more that they can do. So Samuel mourned for Saul, and then God appointed him after that. He said, Samuel, why do you mourn? Why do you continue to mourn for Saul? Get up, wipe your face, wipe your tears, stop mourning for Saul. I need you to go anoint somebody else. So he directed him to Jesse's house, which is David's dad, to Bethlehem. And Samuel went, and Samuel told God, I'm afraid. I don't know, because if Saul finds out that I anointed another king behind his back, he gonna kill me. God told him, don't worry about it. I got you. Don't even worry about it. I got you. So we're going to start off here at 1 Samuel chapter 16. I'm going to kind of read it a little bit, and go a little bit deeper with y'all like I always do. So peep this, right? Here's the next part of the timeline. Jesse comes out and Jesse tells Samuel, pull up to Jesse crib, knock on the door. Hey, Jesse, what's going on? Oh my God, it's Samuel. Samuel was known around Bethlehem and the parts of Jerusalem, just that whole sector of Africa. Like Samuel was known. He was known for whom he was. Samuel goes up, knocks on Jesse's door. He said, Jesse, what's going on? I'm ad-libbing it. Y'all follow me on this, right? He said, how many? So I'm here. God sent me here. God, he said to Jesse, how many kids do you have? Jesse says, well, I got six, I got 7 sons. He said, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Go ahead and get them. Every son that passed by, he said, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. That's not it at all. That's not it. No, that's not him. That's not him. And he looks at Jesse and he said, now I know God told me to come here. I know God told me to come to your house to anoint a king, anoint somebody. Now, remember, he didn't tell Jesse that he was supposed to anoint somebody right now. Okay, he never told, and I'm reading this, he never told Jesse that I'm here to anoint one of your sons as kings. I'm not here to do it. All right, but he's saying, but the Lord has not chosen any of these boys. Okay, he's saying it to himself. All of Jesse's sons passed by him, all 7 of them. He's like, nope, that's not the son. That's not the son. That's not. Hey, well, God, I know you told me to come here, but why? See, if God told you to go there, the problem is that remember what Jesus said: ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open unto you. A lot of you are asking for it, but you stop after you ask. You're not seeking and you're not finding. See, the part that I caught here was that Samuel could have left and said, well, God, I mean, you told me to come. I didn't feel, you didn't tell me that any of these kids, so it can't be here. It can't be any of these boys. Are you sure you sent me to the right place? You can't question God when God tell you to do something. Just do it, even if it don't make sense. So Samuel then gets the inclination, like, wait a minute. Are these all of your sons? And Jesse said, well, no, I got my youngest boy right now. Jesse has 7, all 7 sons in all. And then he's like, no, I got my young boy in the back, but he's young. He's in the back tending the sheep. Samuel said, I'm not leaving until you go get him. Go get him. Samuel said, I'm not leaving until you go get him. So he went, called David, brought David in. The moment David came, now he's young. I'm gonna just give you a time, maybe he's between 10 and maybe 13. He looks at David. Now, mind you, his brothers are older, teenagers and older adults. He looks over all of their muscles that they're well defined, they're handsome looking, they all favor as brothers. He looks at David and say, yep, God told him that's the one. He instantly takes the horn full of oil, pours it on David's head. Now, back then, the horn was huge, filled up to the top rim. I'm gonna just say from this size right here. Solid. You know how much oil that is. So he poured the whole horn of oil on David. Said so his whole body was soaked, was literally soaked. Now get this: when Samuel saw him, here's how Samuel described him. Samuel said he was glowing with health. He was glowing with health. He was glowing with health. Not only was he glowing with health, he had a fine appearance. David was fine. He had a fine appearance. And he had handsome features. God said, rise and anoint him. He's the one. Let me tell you something, ladies. Let me tell you something. Get you a David. Okay? Get you a David. Here's one thing I want y'all to understand. I'm going to go deeper on that too in a second. But when God is getting ready to call you, and this is for my men, make sure that your health is on point. He can't use you if your health is not 100%. He can't use you. Be ready. You got to have a fine appearance. Always make sure you're on point. When you're going out in public, you never know who's watching you. That's what I picked up from this. You never know who's watching you. David literally was Samuel described David as glowing with health. He had a fine appearance. How you gonna have a fine appearance and you working with sheep and shepherding sheep all day and sheep boo boo and all of that? How you look good still and you working hard? You outside sweating and smelling like sheeps and all of that. He still looked good. He had a fine appearance about himself. His appearance was on point. So let me tell you something. Whatever your appearance is like, fellas, make sure you're on point. Get your colognes, get your, make sure your hands and your knuckles are not ashy. Make sure your elbows and your knees and your ankles are always on point. If you don't know how to iron your clothes, take your clothes to the cleaners. There are a certain amount of shirts that I only take to the cleaners. I don't wash them. I take them to the cleaners and get them dry clean. I don't wash them. The only clothes I really wash is like underclothes, like white beaters, briefs, socks, workout clothes, gym clothes, etc. But like my jeans stuff I wear that I post every now and then, I take that straight to the cleaners. I've been having stuff, y'all, for over 5 years that I can still fit. Some of it I had to donate because I work out. I just outgrew it, but I can still fit it and it still looks brand new because I take it to the cleaners and I upkeep it. Right? Take your stuff to the cleaners. Keep yourself up. Make sure if you have a beard, make sure you comb it out. Get you some beard oil. Get you some moisturizer, lotion, whatever you need. All right. Make sure you brush your hair. You got dreads. Make sure you retwist them. I understand you got to go through new growth and all of that, but make sure you're on point. Keep your Tic Tacs at all times. Keep your gum. Keep your sprays. Keep your cologne. If you need some type of cologne you need to wear, I got the plug for you. I can tell you what to get. I can tell you what's good, what's not good from my personal experience. However, he had a fine appearance. That's how he was described. He had handsome features. Like you need to be on point when God brings the favor to you. You need to be on point. You need to be ready. Now, get this. He poured the entire horn of oil on David's head in the presence of his brothers. We'll talk about that later when we talk about Joseph. But he poured all that oil on David's head. Now, he's the youngest brother in front of all of his other brothers. This is Samuel the prophet. This is a big deal when Samuel show up at your door. This is like LeBron showing up for all of your sons, and he don't talk about none of them. He only addressed the youngest boy. That boy not even playing ball yet. But all of your sons got trophies, they got accolades and all of that. But Samuel say, no, I don't want none of them. I want this one right here. He poured that oil on his head in front of all of his brother. And from that day, when he poured the oil on his head, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. I want y'all to understand something. That was powerful, man. He poured the oil on his head, and instantly, from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully on David as a young man, as a young kid, right? So follow me. So now the next part of the timeline, as soon as that happened, remember, Saul already got rebuked and denied. David gets anointed king. Here's what happens to King Saul. An evil spirit sent to him by God was tormenting him. God let the spirit go. I'm not going to protect you no more. Your grace is up. My hands are gone. Because you don't realize how much grace, how much favor you have upon your life until God take his hands up off you. That is the most scariest thing that you can ever experience. I don't know how a lot of you right now just don't believe. Me personally, from personal experience. And let me tell y'all something. I wasn't raised in church. My parents weren't pastors, none of that. I didn't get anything. What I'm showing you, what you see me give you all, this comes from rawness. I say I'm authentic. My relationship comes directly from God, from seeking him. Nobody told me to do this. Nobody came to me with the Bible and said, hey, you need to read. No, it came from experience and God coming to me in my life. That's what I want y'all to understand. So God gives everyone these experiences. The question is when it happens, are you ready to receive? Right? But an evil spirit came upon him, started tormenting King Saul. He along with his servants, right, wanted to ease his pain from being tormented because he was being tormented all night. He couldn't sleep. He's tossing and turning. Tossing and turning. A lot of you say you're fighting your demons. I'm fighting your demons. I got this monkey on my back. Listen, Saul was going through it. He was going through it. He was tormented. He was sick. He couldn't sleep. He was stressed out. All of that because God took his hand off of him because he rebuked him. He was like, okay, you don't want to listen to me? Fine. Because of your disobedience, disobedience, you got rejected. You're no longer king no more. I got to let you go. I got to find somebody else to do the job because the people of Israel are very important to me. They need another king. We can't deal with you right now. You got in your own way. And a lot of you right now, if you want to know why your life just took a sudden turn, is because you decided to do it your own way. Please go back to God and let him reset your life. Here's the next part of the timeline. Now, they searched for someone to play the liar. Liar, Lyre, not Liar, but Lyre. Lyre, also translated, which was known as a Greek instrument, which is shaped as a harp. So everyone knows David played the harp. It is pronounced a lyre. That's how it's pronounced, a lyre. So how so how would you like to know that the one thing that people call as bad, God took that same word and used it as good? And the word liar, Lyre, get this, everybody, it means wisdom. It means wisdom. It means wisdom and moderation. So King Saul knew what the lyre was for. He wanted to play it not because of the sound, because the sound from the lyre was believed to give you wisdom and moderation about your life. So he figured, if I get more wisdom from God, if I get more moderation from God. Now, mind you, if you read later on, it talks about how King Saul went to a psychic to try to communicate with Samuel after Samuel died. This is way after the fact. So Saul wanted to get some wisdom and moderation because he wasn't hearing from God anymore. He wasn't hearing from the Lord anymore. He like, look, I'm not hearing from God anymore. I need something. I need you to ease my pain. Have you ever been in a situation where you just can't sleep? You don't really know how to pray, but you like, I'm gonna just pick up a Bible and read, but it don't make sense to you. And you're going on YouTube and then you try to find out about God, and then you get all these other videos that discredit God. You're like, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. And then you try to talk to your friends about it. Your friends are like, well, I don't believe that stuff because the Bible was handwritten by man and this, that, and the third. Like everything in the world written by man, but that's a whole other story. So now you're confused. You don't know what to do. You try to go to your parents. Your parents are probably atheists. They're probably agnostic. They probably don't know this, or they probably just don't believe. You're like, you know what? We don't believe in that. We believe in science. We believe in the Big Bang Theory. This is what it is. We don't believe in it. We believe in the universe. We don't believe in God. That's just what we believe. Now, you're confused because you don't know what to do. Saul said, I need the lyre to be played for me. I need someone to play the lyre for me. That's how it's pronounced. Lyer is pronounced lyre. I need someone to play the lyre for me so I can get wisdom and moderation. And I need someone that play it well so that this sound can knock down the torment and feeling that I'm feeling right now in my spirit. This sound can be knocked off. And I don't want just anyone to play it for me. I need somebody that's going to play it good. That was King Saul's request to his servants, because his servants like, yo, man, like God released that tormenting spirit on Saul, and they got to watch him groan all night, scream and yell and getting tortured and just tossing and turning. He can't sleep. His body is all over. His mind is just not in the right headspace. You know, so his mental health is declined at this point. His mental health has declined at this point. And his servants are looking at him like, yo, man, we don't know what to do. We need to find out how to help him. We need to get somebody that can play the harp for him. We need to get somebody that can play the lyre for him so that maybe we can get some wisdom and some moderation here, and we can figure out what to do next. Well, get this. This is where favor comes in from David. One of the servants said this. Now, remind you, David is still a young boy. One of the servants said this. Remind you, David still got 7 older brothers. One of the servants says this, y'all. He says, let me go back real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm making this. I'm super excited. You have no idea. Okay, here it goes. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 16 through 18. I'm gonna just read it there. Peep this, right? Saul's attendants, his servant, said to him, see, an evil spirit from God is tormenting you. That's what the attendants told Saul. They said, look, the evil spirit from God is tormenting you, Saul. He said, let our Lord command his servants here to search for someone who can play the lyre. He will play when the evil spirit from God comes on you, and you will feel better. This is what the servants told Saul, the recommendation to get him out of him feeling tormented. So Saul said to his attendants, for someone who plays well, please bring him to me. I need somebody that plays the lyre well. Remember, the word lyre was used back then for the sound was portrayed to give you wisdom and moderation. So King Saul needed that. One of the servants answered him out of nowhere. Remind you, y'all, David is just a kid. He's attending to sheep. No one knows who David is. But let me tell you how powerful God is. The moment that God anoints you, everybody know about you, even when you don't even know them. David didn't even know none of Saul's attendants. The moment Samuel anointed David, this will show you how favor works. Samuel literally anointed David, and all of a sudden, Saul got hit with the evil spirit, tormented. They said, hey, we need a harp player to come and play this music. And it is believed every time this lyre or this harp is played right now, the torment of the demon goes away from you. Out of nowhere, one of the servants say, I have seen a son of Jesse of Bethlehem who knows how to play the lyre. So let me tell y'all this, which I'm gonna get to that in just a second. It is super important that you understand this. But wait, you know what? I'm gonna get to that in a second. But you have to also get this. When God anoints you in what you're doing, people will talk, whether it's good or bad. When you're anointed by God, people gonna talk about you. Just so you know. They was talking about David since David was a kid. When you're anointed by God, people will talk about you. That's another point. Let's move on. Here's what he says to Saul about David. He said he's a brave man. He's a brave man and a warrior. He speaks well and he is fine. He's a fine looking man, and the Lord is with him. Ladies, this is your sign right here. Get you a David. Get you a man that is brave in his heart. Okay? Get you a man that is a warrior of God, that's not afraid of anything or anybody but God. I'm not saying get you a thug. I'm saying get you a warrior of God. It's not the same. That's when you're going to feel the real protection and the real covering is from a man that's a warrior of God. He speaks well, which means is he knows how to communicate effectively. He knows how to talk well. Now, mind you, all of this is spoken about David when he was a kid after he just got anointed. Because remember, now here's the flip side on David's part. David got anointed and he got sent back to continue to tend to the sheep. It's not like David's life changed instantly. That didn't work. David got anointed by Samuel. All right, we'll holler. That's it. Samuel didn't give David no next steps on what to do. So here's another key point I want y'all to understand. When God anoints you, wait. When God anoints you, wait. I'm going to say it again. When God anoints you, wait. When God gives you an idea and you write it down, you excited? Wait. What happens is that a lot of you get all these good ideas and then you turn around and then you go try to make the play on your own. That's not what God told you to do. That's what you picked up on what you thought you should do because you're excited about what God gave you. Wait, stop. You already got favor. All you need to do is go with the next steps. That's all you need to do is go with the next steps. That's it. I hope y'all getting this. I hope you're getting this. Seriously. He speaks well. He's a brave man. Ladies, I hope y'all taking notes. You need to get you a David. Get you a David. He's a brave man. He's a warrior. He speaks well. And he's a fine looking man at that. How is it that people see the characteristics of you as a kid and you're not even an adult yet? Here's the reason why. His spirit man was already grown up. See, a lot of you right now, you are adults from a natural perspective, but you're still a child in the spirit. You're still a kid on the inside. Your spirit being is still a kid. You're immature spiritually when it comes to your gifts, and you want God to anoint you and send you further. No, because if he does, it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. You got to be ready to handle all of the things. The reason why you're not getting all the subscribers and the views you need on your YouTube channel and even your live on your Facebook and your Instagram, because you're not spiritually ready for what's to come with it. The reason why you didn't get promoted yet at your job is because you're not ready for the backlash that's going to come for you. What if you get promoted and you have to lead all of your coworkers that you built a special bond with? Yeah, they cool with you now until they find out that you are head of the whole department. Then what? Then what? You got to be ready to become a multimillionaire. The reason why your business ain't take off yet is because you're not ready for it. Are you really, really ready for your business to triple the income that your job has so that you can walk away from your job forever? Are you ready for that? Because a lot of you probably not ready for that particular feeling or that particular mindset or that particular situation to hit you. Can you handle that? Can you handle the fact that you got to walk home and pull up different and tell your family, yeah, I'm a millionaire, and pray to God that they don't look at you different and they don't look at you as a piggy bank like you're supposed to take care of them because of all of the bad financial choices and decisions that they have made? Are you ready for people to really, really make you feel bad because you're successful, make you feel bad because you're rich, make you feel bad because now your riches are now turning to wealth? Are you ready to handle it? And sometimes it could be your closest siblings, it could be your brother and your sister, your cousin, or it could be your mom or your own mom or your own dad that'll start looking at you funny, which we feel that you're supposed to be happy for me. And one thing I learned about the lottery, that's one of the biggest things about a lot of lottery winners is that they can't handle the fact of how people act toward them and treat them once they find out that they are now in a different income tax bracket. Are you, that's why you got to be ready. You got to be ready for it. So get this, they spoke about him already. The servant said, I have seen one of Jesse's sons play the lyre. He's a brave man, he's a warrior, he speaks well, he's a fine looking man, and the Lord is with him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm about drained. I ain't gonna say drained in real life, but I'm just like, look, all of these different podcasts, it's the same old stuff. Okay, about should a man pay all the bills? If you with me, you don't pay all the bills. I'm a man. Okay, cool. Not that now that I'm a man, I don't pay all the bills. We're gonna split it and this, that, and the third. Listen, you want a man that makes six figures. You want a man that looked at this, that, and the third. Listen, ladies, let me give you some free game. There is nothing in here that is saying about what it's not matching up to all of the things that people are saying now on these podcasts on the type of man you should want and the type of man you should have. I need a man should do this, man should do that. Number one, you're getting people, you're listening to people with advice that have never been married. You're probably listening to people right now that come from a long line of divorces attached to their family. You're probably listening to people that come from a long line of people that have control issues in their life. You're probably getting advice from people as well that's on these podcasts. They're literally telling you the wrong information. They're probably liars, they're probably cheaters. They've done so much in their life. Like you gotta really understand whom you're getting your information from when you're listening to all of these podcasts. Ladies, hear me, please. You're not asking the right questions. You want all of these things that are tangible from a man that can literally leave if he gets sick. None of that stuff matters if that man is sick and he can't perform all these things that you want. This literally shows me right here that David didn't have it all together. He was only described as a brave man, a warrior, someone that speaks well if he looked good and the Lord is with him. He didn't say he drove a certain thing. He didn't say he wore designer or whatever all the time. He didn't say he had bust down APs and Rolexes and all them and Pateks. He didn't say he had jewelry around his neck. He didn't say that he was getting money. All he was a brave man, a warrior. He spoke well. He was fine looking, and the Lord was with him. See, when the Lord is with you, you got favor. All of that stuff doesn't matter. That's bonuses. But you're asking the wrong questions. Ask God to send you a brave man. Ask God to send you a man where the Lord is with him, where he sees the Lord first before he sees your features and your bodies, because that's going to fade away in time. It was going to fade away in time. None of these things mean anything. It's all vanity because when you become sick, none of that stuff matters. You just want a person to be there and love on you and nurse you back to good health. I promise you, none of that stuff matters. Take it from a man like myself that lost his mother and his father, both to cancer. You do not care or give a damn about what happens to a person financial or their financial state. You don't care about it at that moment. You don't care about the car they drive. You don't care about the house you live in. You want your husband or your wife, your mother or your father to be at 100% health. That's what you really want. So you're asking the wrong questions. You got to ask the right questions. Ask the right questions and you'll get the right results. So get this. He was a warrior. Next part of the timeline, right? Because my question is how did they know this about David, that he was a warrior? How did they know this? How did they know that he was brave? Now remind you, this was pre-David and Goliath. This was pre the David and Goliath battle. They didn't know anything. They didn't know David could fight. David didn't have a resume of having a rock and a slingshot. He was just a kid that played the harp, that tended the sheep. So they were already giving him his identity before situations even happened. That's when you know the favor of God is real. They call him a warrior because for some reason, prophetically, they were speaking over his life that he was going to defeat Goliath before Goliath even came toward them. You got to understand this. That's the way favor works. That's the way favor is always going to work. Favor. The next part of the timeline, and this is the part I want to tell you right now. This is the quick point. Next point. When God has favor on your life, people who don't know you will vouch for you. When God has favor over your life, people who do not know you will automatically vouch for you. They're going to vouch for you and your name. A good name is worth more than money. That's biblical all day long. A good name is worth more than money. Again, when God has favor on your life, people who don't know you will vouch for you. Those servants vouched for David, and David was a kid, and Saul didn't even know who David was. David's name wasn't buzzing around town. David didn't have 1 million followers on social media. Nobody knew who David was. A lot of you right now, you're in your David season as a child right now, and you have favor, but you just don't recognize it yet. People right now are speaking on your behalf, but you're afraid, you're scared, and you don't think that it's possible. I'm trying to help somebody right now. I'm trying to help you, man. They describe him as a brave man. He's a kid. They describe him as a brave man. Ain't that crazy? He's a kid. He's a warrior. He speaks well. He's a fine looking man, and the Lord is with him. They talked him up as a full adult, and he was a boy. He was a kid. So this goes to show you, when Saul anointed him, it said instantly the Lord came powerfully upon David. That means that when you are anointed, you grow up spiritually quicker. Your wisdom, your moderation heightens really fast. And guess what I want you, and this one thing I want you to also understand. When that happens, be okay with people not understanding who you are for a season. People are gonna say you're weird. People are gonna think, because you're not gonna have that same appetite to do certain things. You're not gonna have the same appetite to go out and drink and smoke no more. You won't. You won't have the appetite to sleep around no more. You won't. I apologize, y'all. You won't have that appetite to do certain things anymore. You won't have the appetite. You won't have it. You're going to be able to move in a different level. Because remember, he was a shepherd. He played the harp. It wasn't nothing serious. He was a shepherd and he played the harp. It wasn't nothing serious at all. When God has favor on your life, people who do not know you will vouch for you. It's crazy because they vouched for David. He was a shepherd, and all he did was play the harp. He was tending the sheep. There wasn't nothing serious about that, right? It ain't nothing serious. Nobody knew who he was, but they described him as the boy, as a brave man, a warrior that speaks well, a fine looking man, and the Lord is with him. They gave him identity as a grown adult, and he was just a kid that got anointed by God and got favor. Here's the next thing I want to tell you all. Remember, because all he was doing was playing the harp on his free time and tending to the sheep all day long. That's what he did as a kid. That was his duty that his father gave him. That was his chores, right? Some of y'all busting suds, cutting grass, and weed eating, and all this other stuff, right? Cleaning the house, sweeping the floor, mopping. Never despite the days of small beginnings. Never despite the days of small beginnings. Never despite the days of small beginnings. Never. People are always watching you. They're always watching you. Never despite the days of small beginnings. People are always watching you. And here's one thing I want y'all to also understand. Here's the next part of the timeline. David, after After all of this is what God told him. David was already anointed to take the place of Saul, and David didn't even know. He didn't even know. Here's a quick note. The favor of God will be unknowing, so don't fear it. You know, the fear of the unknowing, that's where the favor lies. The favor lies there. Remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things what? Not seen. There is favor in the unknown. The favor of God will be in the unknown, so please stop fearing it. Some of you right now, God has blessed you, and you have a fear still of what could happen because you don't know your next steps. You heard that you got the good news, but you don't know what to do next. Listen, if David would have known, these are the things that I think about, and I thank God for this intellect to do this. If David would have known that he was replacing Saul as a king at a young age as a boy, would he have had the courage to play that harp for him? Probably not. Probably not. Think about it. If David would have known that he was replacing Saul as the king, because Samuel anointed him, Samuel didn't tell him that he was going to be the next king to take over David's throne. Take over Saul's throne. He never even told his daddy Jesse that why he anointed him. He never told him why. He never told him why. But here's the thing. If David would have known that he was replacing Saul as king, would he have had the courage to still play the harp for him? Would he have had the courage to do it? The reason why David moved in so much finesse and so much bravery and so much faith, because he didn't know why he was doing what he was doing. That's the reason why he moved so good. See, a lot of you right now, the reason why you're not moving the way you're doing because you know too much. You know too much, and when you know too much, you self-sabotage what you really should be doing. That's the thing. It's important for God to be silent when he's granting you favor. Oh, I hope y'all caught that. I hope y'all caught that. Because remember, David didn't know he was already anointed to take over Saul's place as king. He didn't even know that. The favor of God is unknown, so don't fear it. If David would have known he was replacing Saul, would he have had the courage to really play for him? Understand this. I'm gonna say. I know I'm repeating myself. I'm repeating it because some of you're probably not getting it. First off, it is important for God to be silent when He is granting favor. It's important for God to be silent when He is granting favor. Listen, that's the reason why a lot of you aren't moving, because you don't know how to be silent when God blesses you. You talk too much. You got to know how to keep it down, not for the fact of you bragging and boasting, but because the enemy is near. He rolls around every day like a lion, prowling, seeking for someone to devour. He's here to steal, kill, and destroy. Simple. God never told, I believe, God never told David the reason why he was there to replace Saul, and I'm gonna repeat this later on down the line, because David would have sabotaged his anointing. He would have never went play for Saul if he would have known that later on down the line, you're gonna take over Saul gonna die, you're gonna be the king. See, a lot of you right now, you want to know so bad about what's your next step, but when God tell you your next step, you nut up and you're like, oh no, I don't want to do it. That's the reason why God haven't told you the next step yet, because God knows you better than you know you. Some of you think you know yourself so well. You don't know yourself more than God know you. I don't care what you don't believe or do believe or partially believe or exclusion from what you think you know. Listen, you don't know yourself more than God. God knows you. I promise you. God knows what you're going to do. God knows how you can go ahead and sabotage things because you just don't have the belief system attached to your life to see it all the way through. God knows that about you. That's the reason why you don't know what to do next. The reason why I'm talking to you on YouTube and Facebook, y'all don't know what to do next because God knows that if I tell you what to do, you're not going to follow through. You're going to quit before you even start. David never even knew why he was anointed. And the whole time while he was anointed, he had grown men describing him as a grown man, and he was nothing but a kid. He was a little boy. He's a brave man, they called him. They called him a brave man, a fine-looking man. He speaks well, and the Lord is with him. How did they know all of this? Samuel never told Saul's attendants about David because Samuel was scared if Saul knew that he anointed David, that Saul would kill him. So that was God speaking to Saul's attendants about David on the fact of Samuel being obedient and anointing David as king. Follow me, y'all. This is really deep. This is good stuff. I pray that y'all get it, because right now God is trying to do something for you in your life. Right now, he knows that if I do it for you, my favor for you is going to be unknown. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I need you right now. So the old saying as it goes, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You really are. It ain't no low key. I'm going to say high key. Wherever you are in your life, you're exactly where you want to be. You're exactly not where you want to be, but you're exactly where you're supposed to be. If you speak differently about your life and you believe different about the favor that God has over your life, God will shift it for you. It don't take long. I promise you it don't take long. It could be an overnight thing, but it depends on your faith. And it depends on how much you tell God, okay, God, listen. And I'm saying this right now publicly on my platform, social media. God, bless me. I'm speaking on my behalf, and I'm pretty decent. Bless me, but don't tell me what you're going to do. Elevate me and not tell me. Whatever you got to do, the people you need to remove out my life, go ahead and do it now, God. I trust you. Your servant is here. I'm listening. I'm saying this because God is literally looking to favor some individuals, and I don't want him to skip my address. I want him to favor me. But I learned this tonight that David didn't even know what was taking place on the back end and what was said about him on the back end, which was really good stuff. So I say, God, listen, elevate me and don't tell me. Just let me find out when it's my time to find out. So then get this. After David plays the harp and eases Saul's tension, the next part of the timeline for David, David then becomes his armor bearer, his protector. He as a youngin, God made it to where David's skills that he just do for fun. Some of y'all are natural talent. You can sing very well. You're very creative. You can do a lot of different things, right? God made it to where David's skills was already needed by Saul because his torment only stopped when David played favor. So get this. Here's a quick note. So get your craft and your skills together, because God can only use you when there is a problem that he favored for you to solve. I'm going to run it back. Get your crafts and your skills together, whatever you're good at, because God can only use that part of you when there is a problem that he has favored for you to solve. I hope you caught that. Ladies, even in relationships, sometimes you will not always have a David. You will get a Saul. You will get a man that needs your help. That's what makes you powerful as a woman. The problem with society is now we don't want to build anymore. We want men and women to automatically be done, already made up. You will never have someone that's already done, ever. This is not food. People aren't food. You can't just cook them. Because let me tell you something. Here's one thing I want you to understand. I believe that people are like steak. Some of y'all like it rare. Some of y'all like it medium. Some of y'all like it medium rare. Some of y'all like it medium well. Some of y'all like it well done. Which one are you? You rare, medium, medium rare, medium rare, right? Which one are you? Medium well, well done. Which one are you? Which part of the cooking process are you right now in your life? And understand that whatever you like, whatever stage you're in, if you're well done, everybody doesn't like well done, just so you know. So don't get confused with social media and people say, oh, you got to be a certain type of way. No, that's not true. Everybody don't like well done. Some people like their steaks medium well. Just a little bit of pink. Just just a little bit of an issue on the inside of you that I can help you with. Ooh, I hope y'all caught that. Some people like a medium rare, right? Like you gotta understand, you're not gonna always be a David. You're not gonna always get a David. You're not gonna always get a man that's brave. He's a warrior. He speaks well. He may speak well. He may look fine. He may be a warrior, but he's not brave. And the Lord is not with him. He may have the Lord with him. He may speak well, but he's not fine looking. But he brave though, and he a warrior. He may be a warrior. He may be fine looking, but he don't speak well, and the Lord not with him, and he not brave. He's selfish. But here's the deal. Sometimes you're going to get you a David that's already done, but David still had issues. That's the problem. I'm not going to dive deep into that. That's going to be for another series. But David still had issues. On the flip side, you're going to get you a Saul that had it all. Saul had it all. Saul was king. Saul had all the money, all the land, anything he wanted. And because of his disobedience, God stripped him, cut him off, rejected him, rebuked him. Boom. Evil spirit took over him, tormented him. Now he lost it. Some of y'all are going to get men that are like Saul that had it all and lost it through a divorce, through a bad breakup, job, business belly up, business failed. Someone died in the family close to them. Best friend died. Parents died. Their mental health has declined. They go into depression. You're going to run into men that are like that. The problem is, some of you right now, you want a David all the time and not understanding that sometimes you need a Saul in your life. Because if you have a Saul, the gift that's on the inside of you, remember, the craft that only God can use you where there is a problem that that he favored you to solve, that's where you're there for. That's where you're there. And fellas, on the flip side, you're going to run into some women that are like Sauls. They had it all. They had all the money, had everything, and they lost it. They had a real good, nice, comfortable life, and then they lost it and they didn't know what to do. Everything for them is the first time everything they've done. They had a man that done everything. Now they're split up. Now she's by herself. Everything's brand new to her. You have a woman that been with a man for years. Husband passed away. Now she's a single parent. Her and the boyfriend broke up, divorced, whatever. Now she's a single parent. This is all brand new to her. You're not going to always have a David as a woman, fellas. It's not going to happen. There will be some women where you're going to have a Saul. That's the way God created it. Why? Because your craft and your skills together will be used with their problem because you're favored to solve it. You're favored to solve that problem. Again, you will not always have a David. You will get you a Saul. Oh, this teaching is so good. I'm gonna go back and rewatch this. This teaching is so good. It is too good. It is too good. Now, fast forward down the timeline. Fast forward down the timeline. Fast forward down the timeline. Get this. This is now, fast forward down the timeline. They talked about David, all that stuff. Samuel then, no, I'm sorry, not Samuel. I apologize. Not Samuel. David then gets anointed for his service. David came to Saul, entered his service, gave Saul his service, right? Played the harp for him, the torment. Saul liked David so much, David became one of Saul's armor bearers. David sent the word to Jesse and said, allow David to remain in my service, for I am pleased with him. This is 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 21 and 21 to 23. He said, whenever the Spirit of God came on Saul, David would take up his lyre and play. And then relief would come to Saul, and he would feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. Boy, you got to be a bad brother to play something to take an evil spirit on somebody. I'm just letting you know, you got to be good. You got to be good. Some of you right now, you're being tormented right now, and the guy or the girl that is designed to come in your life is going to be the only way that torment is going to be released from you. And the torment is a generational curse. It could be the fact that you get depressed, that you get worried so much that you get into a loneliness state mentally. You're designed to help somebody. And one thing that social media lied to people about, You're not there to fix them. You're there to help them. Stop thinking that you're there to fix anybody. You can't fix nobody. That's God's duty and God's job. But God appointed you there and anointed you there so that you can do it. Water break. So fast forward the timeline. Now David and Goliath situation pop off. Remind you, David is still a kid. Now the Israelites have been saying, do you know this man that keeps coming out? Right? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give him great wealth, will give great wealth to the man that kills Goliath. He will also give him his daughter in marriage, and will exempt his family from taxes in Israel. That's what Saul was going to do. So Goliath, give you a little backstory. So Goliath was Philistine. He was a giant. The Goliath was slaying people, taking people out of Saul's army. People were afraid. They didn't want to fight him. David kept asking, okay, he heard about Goliath. He's like, so who is this Goliath guy? Everybody told David who it was. Now, David's just a kid. But remember, he was working next to Saul. So now he working next to Saul. He getting free game. Saul was mentoring David at this point. So David was learning everything that he needs to learn from Saul. Now, fast forward, David's trying to figure out, so whoever kills Goliath, what do they get? What do they get? Well, what's going on? Right? What's going on? So out of nowhere, David's oldest brother, Eliab, was actually in Saul's army. He was actually in Saul's army. Now remember, Eliab was working in Saul's army, but Saul didn't know who David was because David was the younger brother that nobody knew about. Even Jesse didn't even bring up David to get anointed by Samuel. He left David in the field because he felt David was too young. Well, when Eliab, David's oldest brother, saw him and heard him speaking with the men, the soldiers, how about his older brother burned with anger at him and asked, why have you come down here? See, let me tell you something. Sometimes when you elevate, your own siblings ain't even gonna like you. They feel like you shouldn't even be in places where they feel like they are because they will get intimidated about what you got going on. Sometimes it can be your own. People say, man, sometimes it be your own people. His own brother got mad because he saw David over there asking questions. So wait, so what's going on? So who's gonna get? What happens to the man that kills Goliath? His oldest brother got mad and said, "Why have you come down here?" And then this is what he says to David. And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness with? So you see how, so his brother was being petty. It's like, so why are you here? Who did you leave the sheep with? You need to go back home and tend to the sheep. David was already released from his father by the request of Saul to be Saul's armor bearer. So David wasn't even a sheep herder no more. David was working directly with Saul, being mentored with Saul. So his brother got mad. So this goes to prove, to show you that after David was anointed to be Saul's armor bearer, his own brothers was feeling some type of way about what he got going on or what he had going on. That goes to show you, like, are you ready for people closest to you to not like when God levels you up? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that to really happen? And with whom did you leave those sheep in the wilderness? I know how conceited you are. Ain't it crazy how he literally told David that he was conceited? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle. So because I'm coming to watch the battle, you telling me that my heart is wicked and that I'm conceited? Dang. Your oldest brother is talking down on you because he feels some type of way that you have a higher rank. Because his brother was a soldier, mind you, he's an armor bearer. So he's right next to King Saul. Meanwhile, his brother, a soldier on a battlefield every single day, could lose his life. So he being petty. Sometimes it be your own folks, be your own people that don't want to see you level up. Now, fast forward, David pleads his case to Saul. David said to Saul, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. David went ahead and showed that, yo, don't be afraid. I got it. Don't trip. Give it to your man. I got it. Saul said, you're not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You're only a young man. He has been a warrior Goliath been a warrior from his youth. Now, mind you, remember, Saul's servant described David as a warrior already in his youth. Just like how he said, Saul told David, "Are you can't fight him. You only a young man." Like Goliath, a grown man now who been killing folks since he was a kid. You just a kid. You can't do it. Here's what David said to plead his case to Saul that he was more than well than qualified to do the job. Here's what he says: Your your servant, he was talking about himself, has been keeping his father's sheep. He said, I've been keeping my father's sheep. When the lion or bear came and carried off the sheep from the flock, I went after it. I struck it down and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine, he's talking about Goliath. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will also rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. Saul said this, and then Saul heard it. Saul was like, little man talking heavy. Little man talking real heavy right now. He talking real heavy. He like, look, I've killed folk. I killed a lion and a bear. You gonna tell me that I can kill a Philistine? You serious? I killed a lion and a bear. I struck it down. I killed it. I grabbed it by the hair, sliced the neck. You telling me I can't defeat that? Saul said, okay, bet. You talking heavy, right? You talking like this? The Lord be with you. Go and the Lord be with you. Go ahead, bro. You got it. Go ahead. You got it. I want y'all to see this, right? Saul literally put his trust in a kid. But here's the deal: David didn't know that he was anointed, remember, to take over Saul's position. David was trying to prove himself like, no, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Just like a lot of you doing your jobs. They come to you with all these different tasks, and you raise your hand. I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. You got to ask yourself, are you going to be like David that pleads their case and give and give a resume about yourself? That's why a good name is worth more than money. Your resume is worth more than your money. Everything that you did in your past is worth more than what you currently got going on right now. If you have a previous business idea on you, trust me, it will help you in the future. But you don't see it now because you probably don't see no success from it right now. Trust me, it carries weight. David just proved this. I killed a bear and a sheep. Anytime they tried to take them away from my flock, I went ahead, killed it, took it out of their mouth. And if they tried to seize me again, I sliced the neck off, took the head off. Done. This goes to show you right now, nowhere in the Bible does it talk about David or describe a story of David defending the sheep. This is the story that David told Saul about what he did to defend the sheep. Here's what I want you to understand. Never despite the days of small beginnings. That's number one. But number two, here's what I also want you all to get. All of the things that you do off the camera, behind the scenes, when the light is off, that's when it matters the most. That's when the integrity of your gift really showcases and really shows itself right then and there. It's when nobody watching, that's when it matters the most. So David goes ahead, fast forward, he kills Goliath, chops off Goliath's neck. They bring Goliath, he brings Goliath's head to David. David is being cheered on because apparently Goliath been killing these folks for years. It took little David with a slingshot and a rock, hit Goliath upside the head. He goes up, take the sword, slice off Goliath's head, brings the head to Saul. Here you go. Here you go. Now, fast forward. David is the man now. He's a young man. He took out Goliath. Nobody ever took out Goliath. He took out Goliath. Now, let's fast forward. Now, after all of that, Saul now begins to grow in fear about David. He begins to grow in fear about David. Saul then got worried and started to fear David because he started to move up so quick and fast, and everyone saw that David was a vibe, and Saul felt some type of way about it because everybody was cheering David's name. Here's the reason why: because of rats in favor. As I'll talk about this, there's three types of favor. Rats in favor. Rats in favor means overtaking, territorial favor. David was overtaking the throne of Saul by God, giving him the power and the strength and the anointing to do it. David had favor that made Saul look bad because everyone was cheering on David's name, and then David became a target for Saul. Now, I want y'all to understand something, okay? Ratson favor, which is Greek, ratson favor is from God, which means it's the favor of overtaken and territorial. It's from God, not from you. The reason why you can't move forward is because you're trying to become territorial over things that you aren't called, or anointed to do. And you're trying to overtake the lives of others. I'm gonna say it again. You're becoming very territorial over stuff that you have that you don't want to let go. You probably, or we call them hoarders, you're hoarding over it. And then you're trying to overtake someone else's life that you see on social media, Facebook, IG, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. You're trying to overtake somebody else's life and you want their life so bad that you thinking that it's God and no, it's really you. God's not calling you into music. He's calling you to do something else. God's not called. Some of you right now, to be real with you, God's not calling you to be an entrepreneur. Just being real. Some of you right now, you have an anointing to serve other people's vision. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I had to come to the realization. There's nothing wrong with you being a nurse, because if you're an entrepreneur and you're sick, you got to go to a nurse all day. So you need those. You need nurses and doctors. You need lawyers. You need judges. You need police. You need these people that's working on a day-to-day basis. So some of you right now, you aren't called to be an entrepreneur. Not saying that you can't do it, but a lot of you just don't want to wait, because a lot of you have the favor, but you just don't want to wait for it. You got to wait for it when it hits you, because when it hits you, you got to be prepared for it, because it's going to come with you becoming a target. Because you just got anointed at a young kid to literally change the whole trajectory of your entire family bloodline. Nobody in your family has made over six figures or probably hit six figures. And now here you come. I want to be a multiple seven-figure earner a year. And some of you say, I want to be a seven-figure earner a month. And you don't expect to become a target. You're going to be a target more than the employees wearing a red shirt and brown khakis. Just being real. You're going to become a target. Why? Because the favor that God gave you is going to make everybody else above you look bad, because now everybody's going to be cheering your name and they will not be cheering on everyone else's name, their name before previously. This is so good, y'all. I'm telling you, I hope and pray that y'all get this right. Now, next thing, focus on God, and then the favor will come. A lot of y'all want favor, but y'all want to take God out of it so bad, and I feel so sorry. I'm sorry that y'all doing that, because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You can't place favor in the amount of money. Oh, I got this money, I got this promotion. That's the favor of God. That can be taken. We just proved it right there that Saul had it all, and then he lost it because he was disobedient. And here come little kid David, who was sent to you to ease your tension of being tormented by an evil spirit. And the same kid that's helping you being tormented is the same kid that God already anointed king since he was a kid, and you didn't even know it. Sometimes you're going to be sitting right next to the right-hand man only to take over what God has already done. So a lot of you right now, the blessing that you do have, it's already started by somebody else. It's already created by somebody else. The whole statement for whatever God has for you is for you, that's true. But whatever God has for you can also be started by somebody else. God started it for them, and I prove it to you. Moses brought the Israelites, the children of Israel, to the Red Sea, but he didn't go past that. He didn't go past that. He didn't go to the land flowing milk and honey. Aaron did. God appointed somebody else to do it. Moses brought them one part, and God said, Moses, you can't take them any further. Now you got to go somewhere else. I need somebody else to take them further. That's how some of you right now's lives is going to be, but you got to be prepared and be ready for it. God has already laid out the foundation and the blueprint for you right now, but you got to be ready for when God call you. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, that's an uncomfortable situation to know that the person you work next to all the time, God goes. Some of you right now, you're working at a position right now. You're probably working heavy next to the CEO or someone in the next high position. Here's what God is doing. God, you thinking that God is having you close to them so you can learn from them. God is preparing you to take over that because you don't know what they're doing on the back end that God's probably not pleased with. It's like Saul. And God's literally going to take you and anoint you as king, and now you're going to have to take over that throne. Now, fast forward. After all of that, Saul feels some type of way because now he's growing fear of David because David's name is ringing bells. Then Saul tries to kill David. Saul then tried to kill David. Saul tries to kill David. Shortly after that, Saul tried to kill David because David's name was ringing bells. David's name was being spoke all over. Even Saul's family was speaking about David. Saul's son Jonathan was like this with David. He was like this. Saul didn't like that. Saul tries to kill David. David has so much favor that Saul's son told him to leave and I won't let you die. 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 2 through 4. He says this. David fled and went to Jonathan. This is Saul's son and said this, y'all. What have I done? What is my crime? What did I do? How have I wronged your father? What did I do wrong to your dad to where he's trying to kill me? Jonathan said, never. You're not going to die. He said, look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without letting me know first. Why would he hide this from me? He said, it isn't so. He said, that's not true. My dad didn't try to kill you. But David took an oath and said, your father knows very well that I have found favor in your eyes. Your father knows that you favor me. He knows that me and you are best friends. And he said to himself, Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved. Yet as surely as the Lord lives, as you live, there is only a step between me and death. This is what David told Jonathan. Jonathan said to David, well, look, man, whatever you want to do, I'll do it for you. See, when you're favored, God's going to send you the right people to help you along the way of the journey. Jonathan's own dad was trying to kill David, and Jonathan had every reason to side with his dad, but he didn't side with his dad. God's going to send you the people that's not only going to agree with you, but he's going to send you the people that's going to do right by you and not do wrong. Because he could have sided with his father, because technically he was disobeying his own dad. He's like, nah, man, right is right and wrong is wrong. My dad ain't gonna try to kill you. My dad would always tell me that. But they was like, no, like your dad know that me and you cool. I found favor in you. Your father knows that, but your father trying to kill me because of how successful I'm getting right now. Don't be surprised if people close to you want to see you fall because of how fast and how good you're blowing up. I had to learn that in business very well. People will feel some type of way about how good you are because they can't understand where you get all of this from. They don't understand how you are where you are. And sometimes people look at you and feel like, well, you're this good. How come you're not further along right now? And I know I'm not as good as you and I'm not further along, but how come you're not there? You should be there. And how come? And some people will get mad at you because they feel like you should be at a certain position because it's not the time. It's God's time. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. So now David gets warned. David flees. David flees. We go back to 21 now. We goes next over to 21. Then Saul gets really mad because now people made a song about David. People made a song about David. David fled from Saul and went to the king of Gath. And the servant of the king said, wait a minute, isn't that David? The king of the land. David wasn't even king yet. But David was doing so much. David's name was so big in winning wars that everybody thought he was the king. Saul's name was irrelevant. Everybody thought David was the king. David went so hard as the warrior, as the brave one, that everybody thought he was the king. See, here's what I want you to understand. Don't get so caught up on positions to where you feel like your work is not appreciated or looked at. You got to go so hard no matter what position you're in right now because somebody's looking at you. They was calling David the king before he was even the king. In other lands, this wasn't even in Israel. This is in other lands. People was looking at him as the king already. They thought he was the king and Saul was king. David was still the armor bearer. David was still the soldier next to Saul. But he was doing so good that people literally was looking at him and saying, hey, that's the king right there. Isn't that the king of the land? Isn't he the one that they sing about in their dances? They made a whole song. They made a whole song about David. You can read this. This is 1 Samuel chapter 21, verses 10 and 11. They made a whole song about David. It goes, Saul slays his thousands, David's is 10,000. That was the song. They made a whole song about David. So Saul then felt some type of way about that. The last part of the timeline. Saul tries to kill David. David spares his soul, not once, but twice. Not once, but twice. David spares Saul's soul. Here's why. Y'all know this. David had the opportunity to kill Saul. David said, the Lord forbid that I do not do such a thing. He rebuked his soldiers and said, no, y'all can't touch Saul. God told him, touch not my anointed. That's what God told David concerning Saul. So here's what I want you all to understand, okay? Do you have enough love for your enemies to know that revenge will sabotage your favor? Do you have enough love in your heart for your enemies, the people that are trying to kill you, people that are lying on you, the people that are saying false things about you, the people that are despitefully trying to use you, despitefully trying to hurt you? Do you have enough love in your heart for your enemies to know that revenge will sabotage your favor? Revenge will sabotage your favor. The Bible says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. That's the reason why he said, vengeance is mine. Because if you don't get this, your revenge will sabotage your favor. That's the one part that people missed about that. If David would have literally taken, if David would have taken on the ability to say, you know what, the heck with this, I'm taking Saul's life. Saul tried to kill me 2-3 times already. He even tried to low-key get his son to kill me. No, I'm not doing it. I'm taking his life. God said, no, I forbid you. Touch not my anointing. David said, dang it, because David cut off a piece of his cloak, cut the corner of his robe to show him that if I wanted to kill you, I could have killed you. I got a piece of your robe here. If you wanted to be touched by me, I could have you touched. I'm not even that type of dude. But God said, touch not my anointed. David sharply rebuked his men and did not allow them to attack Saul. And Saul left the cave and went his way. They could have killed him. God said, touch not my anointed. They had Saul right there to kill him. David said, nope, you can't do it. God told me not to do it. I ain't going to do it. Can you be obedient enough? Not just for the love. Do you have enough love, but do you have enough obedience to know that revenge will sabotage your favor? Do you have enough obedience to know that? Last but not least in this timeline, y'all. Last but not least in this timeline, I'm done. Saul then dies. Saul dies. We're all the way over in the 2 Samuel at this point. Saul dies. Saul takes his own life, and David hears about it. After David was anointed king over Judah because of the kindness he showed Saul. He was elevated. Now listen, y'all. This is the scripture I read earlier. May the Lord show now. May the Lord now show you kindness. Remember, fruits of the Spirit, kindness. May Lord show you kindness and faithfulness, and I too will show you the same favor because you have done this. David was anointed king over Judah because of the kindness he showed Saul, and then he was elevated right after. The end. Are you willing to work as if you're a king over Judah and you're not even anointed king yet? Work as if you are already there. If you want to be a multimillionaire, work like you're one already. If you want to be six-figure earner, work like you're a six-figure earner. If you want to be retired from your job and working your business full time, work as if you're doing so. That's the trick. That's the key. That's what David taught us. Favor. The type of favor that David had was ratson favor, means overtaken and territorial. Are you willing to let God elevate you high enough so you can get to that level? So, y'all, that's my time. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I did not even plan on going this long, but the Lord said go this long, so I'm always be obedient. So, if you're watching this video, share this video. YouTube link is in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is my name, Benjamin Thompson. Nothing changes. But listen, thank you all so much for joining. It's been a phenomenal, phenomenal part one. Part two tomorrow. Next week. Excuse me. We're going to talk about the Eudokia favor, which we're going to talk about the favor of Daniel. The favor of Daniel. We're going to talk about fruitfulness and how fruitfulness really worked out in Daniel's life, which is also a fruit of the Spirit. We talked about that in the last series. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. Support Future P. I'm going to share this video. Get out there. Have a good night. If you catch this video at the middle, toward the end, just rewind it. Take some notes. Let it apply in your life. I appreciate y'all for all the support. This is only the beginning. 2022 not even over. We're going into the fourth quarter. About to get this thing going. Peace.